Welcome viewers back to another news session. I hope we are all glad to explore with me more concepts from where we started about information literacy. I am so glad to share with you again once more. And in this new session, we're going to look on secondary sources. Diving in, I have a brief outline. We're going to look at the definition of secondary sources, and we shall also look at the importances. We're going to look at the types of secondary sources. We are going to look at where to find these sources and how to evaluate the sources of information in secondary category and citing the secondary sources. So to go ahead with our video, let's see what secondary sources are. So by definition, the secondary sources are really the sources that interpret, they analyze, and then summarize primary sources. These sources are created by people who do not experience the event firsthand, meaning they are second-hand information. So we shall see that some of the examples of secondary sources are things we look at, like in textbooks, academic articles, the biographies, and then review papers and documentaries. So secondary sources are simply second-hand information. They are got from people who did not experience the event firsthand. So why do we use secondary sources? We use secondary sources to provide context and interpretation of primary sources. It helps us to dig deeper into what the primary sources contain. So secondary sources will also help us in synthesizing different overviews on a topic. So it will help us in getting more detailed information and expand more on what we originally had. And we shall see that it's also useful for understanding historical events, scientific studies, and literacy analysis. So that is mainly about secondary sources. We see that secondary sources are sources that interpret, analyze, and summarize primary sources. They are created by people who did not experience the event firsthand, and they include examples like textbooks, academic articles, biographs, review papers, and documentaries. So now, what are the different types of secondary sources? Secondary sources, for example, textbooks and textbooks, we say that they summarize and explain information on a topic. We have another type being the scholarly articles, whereby we have the peer-reviewed research analyzing primary materials. And another type are the reviews and the critics, where there is analysis of creative works, like the books, like films, like the art. And then we have another type being documentaries, where it presents the research and perspectives on historical or scientific topics. So briefly, there are like 4 types we have talked about. I have mentioned the first type being books and textbooks, the second type being scholarly and articles, third type being reviews and critics, and then the fourth type being documentaries. So these are the types of secondary sources. So what else can we say about the secondary sources? Let me go ahead to let you know where to find the secondary sources, because these are questions you're asking yourselves when you have work, you have a research work, you have a coursework. You will have to ask yourself where to find the secondary sources of the information to expand more on what you already have. So We are going to find secondary sources in libraries and online databases like the Google Scholars. We have GSTOR, and then we have the PubMed normally used that we use to find some of the information that we need accordingly, respectfully. So we had another way of finding some resources being in academic institutions like university research papers. A lot of research, as we already know, research is simply work that already carried out, findings that are already carried out, but we normally expand more on them. So in institutions, like in universities, we shall have university research papers. Normally, you can find them even in the libraries. And we have the conference proceedings. Another place to find secondary sources are in the official reports and encyclopedias. There we can have like government and research organization publications, and then also in media and reviews where we have news articles, books, or movies. Movie reviews. Yeah, so we already have the concept of secondary sources, and we have seen the types. We have tried to understand their importances. So how are you feeling right now, virtualist? From where we began from the word call on information literacy, how do you feel about yourself already getting knowledge on how to find information easily through some of these sources? Let's go ahead to see how to talk about evaluating secondary sources, where we shall look at the authorities. So in authorities, we shall see who is the author and their credentials. So we need to know the author of the information, the information sources and their credentials. Also, we have to know the objectivity. Does it present biased or balanced information? Yeah, this is the question that we have to ask ourselves. Another thing is accuracy. We shall have to find out if is the information supported by credible primary sources. So these are some of the things we use in evaluating the secondary sources. Another thing is currency. Is it up to date or it's outdated? We already know that the research we normally carry out, for example, for us in academics, they will tell you should be able to find out work that has been done at least not beyond 5 years ago. So you should be able to limit your work to 5 years time frame to be able to have something which is up to date. So that is simply how we evaluate the secondary sources. So lastly, let's look at how to cite the secondary sources. Secondary sources can be cited using standard citation formats, same as primary, like the APA formatting styles, MOA and Chicago. Those are the most commonly citation formats that are used in most universities, most academic institutions. Another include author, the title, and then publisher and the date. For example, you can cite with the APA. You will have like Smith J, and you put the author's name and you put the year of publication. Or you can use the title to a book like The History of the Ancient Rome, and you put where it is found. Maybe it is found in the Oxford University Press. So that is a brief overview of what secondary resources is. I thank you so much for tuning in and being patient with me as we continue exploring more on what information literacy contains. I gladly welcome you to my next session as we get to know more and learning from each other. Don't forget to like, don't forget to share your comments, don't forget to press the notification button so that you can be able to receive more of my updates on different topics. Thank you all.